Now, apparently, we're required to live our best life. So, not just life, the best life. And, preferably before breakfast with some chia seeds and being photographed and putting it up on Insta and all that jazz. Because everywhere I look, I don't see people who are just living their lives. I see people who are thriving, and they're thriving on the top of mountaintops or in cold plunges and ice lakes and holding mugs that say rise or something similar written on them. Well, I do have a few mugs myself with some fancy little things written on them, but you know, in between, I just have normal mugs as well. Um, yeah, so, for me, yes, this morning I swam in Lake Lucerne and it was 13 degrees and it was bloody freezing and I felt great. And I did it early in the morning when the lake is still very calm. But there are other mornings that I get up about 10 minutes before the absolute deadline of getting ready and getting out of the house. And I often have to sacrifice my cup of tea or my toast with butter and marmalade. And I don't think it's very fashionable to post that. But I'm not saying we shouldn't eat, we should eat healthy things. I'm just saying that my personal life is a mix of doing things that are maybe not 100% healthy and doing other things that are super healthy because I'm just living my life. It's authentic. I try to eat healthy. I try to exercise as much as I can. But believing that we have to do this all the time is something that I believe is absolutely not our best life. In fact, I think it can set us back, you know? Um, so, I feel nowadays life has to be elevated, curated, optimized, monetized, healed, manifested, journaled, and if possible, color coordinated. How am I doing? No, but it's just that some days I feel like you can't go for a walk. It has to be a mindful nature immersion practice and, you know, all about, unlocking human potential. And, we can't just sit quietly. We have to protect energy. And again, I am definitely an early adopter. I love change. I love new technology. And maybe we're talking about the same thing with different words that have evolved quicker than my head has. But in a way, at times nowadays, even relaxation sounds exhausting to me, Um, I saw someone's morning routine online recently. Oh my God. Um, Up at 5 a.m., tongue brushing, some kind of light, infrared light on her face, all of the usual meditation workouts, affirmation supplements, lemon water, journaling, gratitude practice, probably lots of yoga and, some chia seeds. As I said, they're all or chia pudding. Um, and in fairness, at the end of the video, she looked amazing. She was radiant. I personally was exhausted. I needed to lie down after watching her. But, everyone has their own way of doing things. But I just began to think maybe we have accidentally turned being alive into some advanced admin task that has to be done with a routine. So now the phrase kind of bothers me when I hear live your best life. Like best according to who? LinkedIn, Insta, some guy called Brad who invests in cryptocurrency and is a thought leader. Who tells us to do this? Where show me the data, because my best life currently involves good cups of tea, low to no emotional drama, no game playing, comfortable shoes, and not hearing phrases like pivot strategically ever again. And I think a lot of people secretly feel this way. I think a lot of us are tired. Not dramatic tired, not some Victorian woman fainting on a chaise longue kind of tired, but just this chronically overextended exhaustion with being told to live our best lives. you know, honestly, sometimes I think the most productive thing you can do is canceling things, because pressure is so high on people to improve themselves, reinvent themselves, build a personal brand, find your purpose, optimize your morning, heal your inner child, launch your podcast, learn Italian, and do it all on Tuesday morning. And I work with people who are reinventing themselves, but I'm talking about something that I think is slightly off from that. I'm talking about understanding who you are, how you tick, what works for you, and not this kind of pressure to have this meaningful way of working or having relationships or growing or even describing how you live, because I would prefer to fold the washing uh, than to be forced into an idea of what should be me. So, what worries me the most about that is I think people are beginning to experience their lives less and to perform them more. And that is the thing I think we need to get away from. Everyone's documenting everything. When I walk around Lucerne where I live, it's beautiful. And I get it. People take photos, but I see these people posing in front of the bridge, which is probably the most filmed bridge in the world, maybe wooden bridge, let's say. But yeah, it's great to film a sunset, but it's even better to watch it. You know, I take photo of food, but I think much better than that is tasting it and eating it. So there are an entire category of people who seem to be unable to drink a cup of coffee without, taking a photo of it beside a beige notebook and a nice flower. And at times I belong to them. I do all these, but I really do believe that the poison is in the dose, and also in how much of yourself you accept not doing those things, and understanding that that's just as important. um, because somewhere inside all of this striving, I feel that a lot of people have quietly developed the feeling that if their life doesn't look extraordinary from the outside, then perhaps it's failing. And that is tragic, really. Because most of life was never meant to be amazing or extraordinary. Most of life is small. It's cups of tea, it's text messages, um, it's finding your favorite brand of tea bags in the supermarket that you didn't think they stored around here. It's people remembering how you like your tea or your coffee. It's all of the little things, and the things that we're not highlighting anywhere, but it's just about, having texture in our lives that matters. So, not vision boards, not drone footage of yourself in a beautiful landscape. As said, all of those things grand in small doses, but I sometimes wonder if this obsession about being our best selves is actually making us quietly reject the selves that we really are. And that's absolutely tragic, because self-improvement can become a very strangely sophisticated form of self-rejection. So, I'm very cautious not to preach and not to tell people what to do or how to live their lives, because I'm always struggling to live my normal life, my normal authentic life that is sometimes the best and sometimes the worst version of me, because isn't that how life's meant to be? Um, but I think it's dangerous, if you think that there's always another version of you just beyond the horizon, a more productive, a more healed version of you, more successful, then you are waiting for Godot. It's not coming, and I think it's much more important to appreciate yourself and not leave your current self sitting in the corner waiting for something to happen, because, you know, we hear all the time, get outside your comfort zone, leave your comfort zone. And people say this constantly, but I actually believe instead of leaving the comfort zone, we should try and get into the comfort zone, because most of us are outside the comfort zone all the time. Apparently all growth happens between mild panic and exhaustion. But, what if we've spent our lives outside this comfort zone? How do we, discover that the real issue is not that we're too comfortable, but that we've forgotten how to be comfortable and how to feel safe? So some people are not avoiding discomfort, they're actually addicted to it, and live like that, because discomfort can feel productive. It's familiar, it's safe. If you have spent years proving yourself to everybody else, achieving things so that you can feel worthy, trying not to fail, then stillness can feel a little bit suspicious, and relaxation feels uneasy. It feels undeserved, and people feel uncomfortable with it. So yeah, maybe that's why this best life narrative feels so tiring, because underneath all the inspiration is the suggestion that who we are right now is not enough, and that is dangerous. That ordinary life is not enough, that ordinary people are not enough. But maybe the goal isn't to live your best life, it's just to live your life, not to perform it, not to turn yourself into a brand. Just live. And that always involves being imperfect. That's part of life, isn't it? Without wondering if you're maximizing your potential at every waking second. Because honestly, some of the happiest people I know are not in any way extraordinary. They're simply present. They are there, They can laugh without guilt. They know when enough is enough. And perhaps, wisdom at this stage in life is realizing that peace is not laziness, and joy isn't a performance metric, and a human life doesn't need to look impressive from the outside. It just needs to feel meaningful from the inside. So, no, I am no longer trying to live my best life at this stage. I would simply like to live a life where I stop opening WhatsApp as if it's a court summons and I need to see to it right away, and just being me, because, as you know, all you need is you, right?